Maybe the heart won't break. Maybe the heart won't break, I said. Maybe the words you said from past. Maybe the heart can't stop till heal again. You and me can only keep the peace for we. Before we both stop tripping. And I don't wanna break this up, but I know that.
Matt here from Aroundsquare. Gonna do a quick little video of stuff that's coming in this month's product launch. If we're being honest, probably not too quick, probably not too little. Got a lot to say about the stuff that's launching this month, so it might end up actually being a bit of a longer one. But yeah, we'll see what we can do here. So I think I'm going to start with these guys that are in my hand, kind of starting with the easy stuff, because there's some stuff coming later in the video that's going to be a bit more to speak to. Anyways, these guys here, beautiful. We have finally another round of Alum beads. So these are the 10 millimeter version of our Milos. We had done the 12 millimeter Milos in Alum a couple months back, and they sold out, and we haven't restocked them yet. We're working on it, but you know, when those started to sell, and I saw how popular they were, I pulled the trigger right away on the 10 millimeter version. I thought that would be a fun way to mix it up. I love the material, and I want to get more stuff out in the Alum range. So previously, I think we did the 10 millimeter beads only in the long form version. This month we're doing also short form. So we've got the mirror or polished version here, which is like very transparent except for the hole, and then we got the machine finished, which is kind of a cloudier, like almost a sea glass look to it. And we've got the same in the thing in the long form version. So long form and short form both have the 15 millimeter boss. No tassel beads on the long forms. I went with that. This just, you know, every time we do a new set, I kind of think about the aesthetics, and I change it up a little bit. Sometimes we do a tassel bead, sometimes no. These guys, I really like the way they feel with just the 15 millimeter boss. They're light enough that they're easy to manipulate just from the end, just holding the boss, or you can split them into packets and manipulate them how, like you would with the more kind of evenly weighted sets. But the material is light enough, and the 10 millimeter Milos are small enough as well, light enough that you can do it either way. And I love the high crisp clack on these things. Hope it's coming up on the camera. There you are. One thing to note on these, Alum is a very interesting material with the color and the depth. I don't know how well it'll pick up on the screen. It's the same material, but on the smaller beads, it looks very much lighter. You don't have quite the same deep amber color. It's strictly a function of how thick the material is. You see on the banjas are also very kind of lighter, more of a honey color, whereas the thicker, like 12 millimeter beads and the knucklebone, you actually see the variation with the grip in the middle being quite a bit lighter than the two end knobs. So yeah, I mean, great material. The stuff's been really popular. So, if you have a collection going, this is a nice way to round out the collection. Or if you're looking for a spot to jump in, going to have launch pricing on these guys. But yeah, really enjoying them. Note on the finish, the machine finish, more kind of slick, passes through the fingers a bit easier. If you're looking for more grip, the polished finish is like glossier and grips to the fingers a lot more. Most of you guys are familiar with that. Sticking with those beads, the 10 millimeter beads for the moment, we're also restocking 10 millimeter in Thai, and we decided to mix it up a little bit. Last time we did only the long form for 10 millimeter, and we did short form MK Ultras for the 12 millimeter beads. I decided this time I'd like to mix it up and do short form for the 10 millimeters. So if you are into the shorter form MK Ultras with just like the single wrap of beads, one wrap on the wrist and the little adjustment there, this is a good spot for you to jump in. We've done the 15 millimeter boss as well, which I find that gives lots of nice grip for manipulating them, and it looks pretty smart with these beads as well. Yeah, so we got these guys. And then we've got a new color, PVD. First time we've done PVD coating in the Milos. And this blue is, it's a blue, and it's kind of a blue-gray. So I'm not quite sure what we're going to name the color yet, but it's like it's got that kind of blue steel look for all you Zoolander fans out there. And just really, really nice. We got some samples done a long time ago of this color in some other beads. And I thought, like, it's not different enough from the blues that we have in, like, say, the 10 millimeter beads to warrant doing, like, this finish necessarily in the 10 millimeter beads. But since we hadn't done any PVD coating in the Milos, I thought, it's a perfect opportunity to launch this new color. I think people are going to like it. It's not that, like, vibrant, super saturated blue that you see in some of the other PVDs. This is very much an understated blue, it looks almost like a kind of a beetle shell kind of color, but I really like it. For me, like, I'm not so much into the vibrant colors. I like stuff to be a bit more understated, and this is just a way to add stuff, add a little bit of color without kind of going too bold. Okay, so mashing up those two, we don't have a ton of Bugleri stuff happening this month, but I thought this is an opportunity to launch a very lightweight Bugleri set. We don't have a lot of other Bugleri stuff happening this month, so I thought this would be a nice thing to do. And rather than just like putting everything right in the same range for weights and setups and whatever that you're all familiar with, I thought I'd break the mold a little bit. I know there are some players in the community who super love like super lightweight sets, and so I thought, let's do it. Let's pair some of the Thai Milos with the Alum ones for a super lightweight kind of mini set. And I can't remember the exact weight. I think it's something like 6 grams for the whole set. It's very, very light. Definitely wouldn't want to try 550 in these guys because it's like too stiff. And with the Milos beads, you can't really get 550 in very easily anyways. Even on the 2 millimeter Kevlar, it's reasonably stiff for a set like this. You can flip them around. It's fine. But what I have really been enjoying is this here. This is a custom 2 millimeter cotton cord that we had made for our mini Dubulo that I'll be talking about later. But I've really been enjoying flipping this little set around on this little cotton cord. It's just so supple and springy that it, I don't know, it just suits the lightweight of the set very nicely. So I'm going to ship these guys with the 2 millimeter cotton cord and the 2 millimeter Kevlar cord. And yeah, I know there are some people that just really enjoy the springy, kind of quick, fast-paced, low-effort action of of the lightweight sets, and they definitely are like nice on the knuckles. They don't smack too hard, and for a short game especially, if you play a lot of short game, you get familiar with this kind of like lots of rebounds and banging around on the fingers and knuckles. It doesn't work so well with heavy solid sets, but with a 2-bead set like this, where there's a little bit of give between the 2 beads and a nice light weight, you can go all day without damaging your hands much for a short game. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to be for everybody. It's super, super lightweight. It's like, less than half the weight of most of our sets, but it's fun. All right. So while I'm on the Bigleri, I guess I may as well talk about these guys here. This is going to be the chef's special for this month. And we thought we'd just mix it up. I actually teased this setup, God, like probably 2016 or 2017 when we first started doing the Hydras and the micro Hydras. I started mixing it up to add some modularity to my own game, and we never released a set like this, but it's pretty fun. And if you're interested in a more heavy set, this one here is titanium with the shinobi finish, and we've got a brass and copper on it, and all of them have basically two full-size Hydras. That's the original 16 millimeter ones with a brass and copper micro Hydra. And what we decided to do was, for people who want something heavier, I got the titanium option, and for people who want something lighter, we've got the aluminum option. So I don't know the weights of these. I'll have to put it into the product descriptions, or maybe I'll get it into the launch email that comes out later this week. But for people who don't have a heavier set or who just want to try something a little bit different, I know a lot of people who have been in the community for a long time have sets of these kicking around already, like sets of like the regular Hydras and the micro Hydras, and can string up their own. That's fine. This is more for people who may not have such an expansive collection but want to try something different. And it's like a nice kind of compact form factor, and it definitely carries a lot of momentum. Doesn't feel solid like the Titans. Like if they smack the fingers, they don't hurt quite as much. But you know, as we've often talked about in the online discussions and so on, it's not so much about getting your knuckles tougher. It's more just as you learn to play, you learn how to space your fingers out so that the impact don't like wrap you right solidly on the hand. So spacing out the fingers when you have a solid or a heavy set, you eventually, your fingers are smart. It doesn't even take a lot of thinking. Your fingers will just learn to kind of space themselves out so that when things come around, they don't thwack you right in the wrong spot, right? So that's Bigleri, that's the chef's special. We talked already about the 2 millimeter cotton cord on that little Bigleri set that I threw across my desk. And yeah, this is just a little short game modification. I do a little figure eight knot when I want to go between short and long game. I find that an easy way to switch it up without having to recut and retie my string. But the reason we did that cord in the first place was actually just on a whim for the ebony version of our Dubulo, mini Dubulo, actually. I originally had these beads done. I originally had these beads done, and I was going to launch it on our Kevlar cord, and I found the 2 millimeter Kevlar was a little bit too stiff for this, and so I had some custom, I think it's 1.8 or 1.7 millimeter Kevlar cord done up for the mini Dubulo. But then I thought, you know, I always wanted, way back in the day, I always wanted a nice cotton cord with my wooden versions of Dubulo, because I felt like, you know, being a natural material, it's nice to pair natural materials together. And I thought, just like, let's see where the production of cotton cord is at these days. And, you know, back 15 years ago when I was first working with Dubulo, actually more than that, it was like 20 years ago something. I was first messing around with prototypes of Dubulo. I was just getting, like, sourcing cord from the craft store, and so I was really dependent on whatever they had around. But these days, I'm of course fully connected with like supply chains overseas, and I can get stuff custom made. We've been doing a lot of that with our other cords, and I thought, let's just see what we can do for cotton. And so we had some 2 millimeter cotton cord with a nice core in it. We had that done up, and I was immediately blown away. So I delayed the release of the Ebony Mini Dubulo by a couple months just so that we could include this cord with it. And I'm really glad we waited. It's beautiful. It has that suppleness that makes it respond super well to the Dubulo tricks. So, you know, you release it, and it just, like, there's no stiffness to the cord. It just, like, it springs where you want it. It's actually like very slightly dynamic. You won't be able to see it in the video, but it has like a tiny bit of stretch to it, similar to our silk cords. So that's like, it just makes the play experience really, really nice. So I mean, I'm not exaggerating to say that this is my favorite version of the toy that I've ever had. It's like kind of the setup that I always dreamed of having back when I was hand making my own sets with wooden balls that I got at the craft store, drilling them out and sanding them painstakingly. But these are custom machined ebony, and you see they have like the nice bore that you have in the mini Delrin version that we also sell, and the ebony commons on the ends. So I think if it's probably going to be easier for people to learn if they stick with the Kevlar cord, because the Kevlar cord has more friction on it, but we're going to include both in the box. So the Kevlar cord just has more friction and they don't slide quite as smoothly. So certain tricks where you need the friction to keep the balls in place, a bit of momentum, you might find it easier with the Kevlar cord. But once you get the hang of it and you want just like that smooth, super flowy experience, this is like premium version. So I think I'm never going back, and I think this might be like the end of my seeking as far as like ultimate version of this toy. But I'm going to keep messing with other materials, right? All right, so moving along now, I've got something else that I've been really excited to share, and this one is like, it's taken freaking forever because the factories just kept screwing up the small details of this thing, and it was driving me crazy, and it took like way longer than it should have taken. But how, like, for a collaboration that has been like 7 years in the making anyways, like what's another year when the factory isn't getting it right? So I'm talking, of course, to the Luzu Macki collaboration for the titanium Banja thumb rings and titanium mini Deadeye wearable. So these two beauties, they really have come out just perfectly at long last. I'm so excited for them. They're awesome. So the Deadeye wearable, of course, it's a mini version of our Deadeye coins. It's nice as a worry stone. You can just keep it in your pocket as a kind of something to grab. The mini version is like fine for rolling between the knuckles and certain like finger manipulations. The mini titanium version is not like our bigger stainless steel Deadeyes. It doesn't have the heavy weight that gives you the stability for doing like isolation tricks. It's a lot harder. So I wouldn't say that this is like a skill toy. You're buying this because it's a freaking awesome piece of art that you want to wear. And it's brilliant for that. If you do want to take it off the string and play with it, it'll give you some satisfaction as well. But better to frame it as like a wearable piece of art, because that's like what it was intended as, and it's like I'm so happy with how it turned out. The Banjas, on the other hand, for those of you that might remember the Banja launch way back when, that was actually like I undersold in terms of like what they could do as a skill toy back at that point. I was saying repeatedly running up to the launch that it's not a skill toy. It's just like a wearable thing, and it's like kind of nice to hold in the hand, but it's not something for tricks. But like, as often happens, the community has just like blown me away, and it's become a skill toy in its own right. There are guys like Dexterity Lab out there that are just doing crazy ring tricks with the Banjas, and I myself have like really enjoyed just like playing with them. Anyways, all this to say, as a playable like manipulation piece, this version of the Banja is freaking awesome. Like, there's the slightest bit of texture from the laser etching, but the glossy coating on the polished surface. So this is PVD coated and then laser etched, and the glossy surface with the PVD coating has like a great amount of grip and control for pretty much anything that you want to do. The inside also has that slick feeling. It's like I don't know what more I can say. It's like, I think for those of you who do enjoy using the Banjas for manipulation, you're likely to have a new favorite with this one. And bonus, it's like, again, like just a beautiful piece of wearable art. I love the style. Luther's stuff is just all amazing. If you don't follow him, go check his stuff out. Luzu Macki on Instagram, and he's elsewhere on social media and stuff as well. His stuff all has this rad aesthetic, and I'm so happy how it turned out with the black background and on the wearable with the red Kevlar. It's perfect. right, so enough about that. Oh yeah, last thing, check this out. So these are a new little sticker that Luther did up for the collab as well. It's just a rendition of our logo in his style, which is like freaking rad. Okay. All right, next up is something you guys have been waiting for a long time. It's this little piece right here. So this is what we're calling the base. This is our first pocket knife. And my apologies, everybody. I first teased this like over a year ago. And honestly, when I first showed it online, I thought we were closer to the finish line. And turns out, no, we weren't. We tried a couple more samples with that supplier and had to abandon them. And yeah, the sampling process was painful and expensive. But we finally found a supplier that was able to do what we wanted in the way that we wanted. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. We finally made it, and I'm stoked to release it. It's exactly what I wanted. So yeah, it's just like in terms of features, it's titanium frame lock. It's grade 5 titanium on the frame. The blade is CPMS 35VN steel, so it's a really like tried and tested and really reliable blade steel. You see a nice chunky thickness. It's got a tanto grind. Dual thumb studs, so you lefties out there are going to be able to make this work, even though it's not a left-handed model necessarily. I think the fit and finish is really good. I've been using this one for probably 4 or 5 months now, and you can see the centering is still perfect, and there's no, I haven't had to retighten anything. It is you can't take it apart and whatnot. It's not like Loctited in place, but it's I use this thing every single day, and it's I've sharpened it a few times, and apart from that, yeah, like no maintenance at all. I think it's going to be a really reliable daily user for you guys. So I want to tell you a little bit about the story behind this. I've been collecting pocket knives for quite a long time, like probably a decade or so, and it was even when I got into making Bigleri and the knuckle bones and all these other products that were making machined from metal, I never really considered doing a pocket knife. And the reason is because it's such a well-served market already. There are so many great makers doing so many cool knives, and they're all like beautiful and perfect and have like such good quality manufacturing. But what I found is like I kept buying knives, and I realized over time, like I wasn't trying to amass a collection. I was chasing the knife that I couldn't find. So, I just kind of run through a few of them here. So I was going for small knives, and I liked, clean looks, and wanted something that I could fit in my pocket and not be like taking it out every time I sit down, or not getting like tired of feeling it like thunk around in my pocket. I tried different materials, different shapes, and I didn't at the time, like I didn't have an idea in mind of what I was looking for. I just realized that I kept buying more and more of the thing, and every one of them had something that kind of didn't sit quite right with me. It was like it was too big, or it was too heavy, or I couldn't open it with one hand, or it didn't like this one here is like so elegant and nice, but there's the blade doesn't lock, so it's like it's pretty limited, and I don't know, no knocks against any of these. They're all like beautiful pieces from different makers. I'm like, I don't buy junk, but they all had something. And like a lot of the like nicest ones that I had, they're just like bigger than I needed. And so, even, the ones that really got me hooked were the Sebenzas. But even them, like, they're awesome, but I just found it's like too big for me to carry in my pocket all day. Like I'm mainly at home, or like going to the grocery store or whatever. I don't need like a big honking knife, and this is the small version, right? Like no knocks against the bigger versions. Most of the knives out there, and even the EDC ones, tend to be like bigger, chunkier, and like you can like skin a deer with it, and I don't really necessarily need that most days. So I collected these knives and realized over time, like there's certain set of features that I really wanted and couldn't find in a single piece. And so eventually that led me to just like doodling and sketching and trying to come up with something that was what I wanted personally, which is like, honestly, it's how most of my product design works. Is I just like I'm designing the thing that I personally want but can't find. And so led me to this design here, just like a very minimalist, like non-aggressive looking knife, just like I think a clean little piece of craftsmanship, nice geometry, nice rounded edges, like no hot spots on it. And regarding the Tanto grind, I want to share with you, let me see here. So the Kaiser Feist is like a knife that I loved. And I thought for, like when I first got this, I thought like, okay, this is it. I'm not going to have to buy any more knives. But again, like eventually it just like, it was too big for me. And I just want to share with you like why I went Tanto. Like I love the geometry and the look of a nice drop point knife, but you can see how the drop points, they tend to taper. They have like a long, thin taper, and you get to a nice tip, which is great for certain tasks. But I'm like always paranoid about like snapping the tip on my drop points, and not so with my Tantos. Like this one here, but no, it's my 31. My 21, my Sebenza 21. I actually bought this Tanto Sebenza 21 when the 21s were discontinued, and I couldn't find one with the drop point. I really wanted the drop point. I didn't like the look of the Tanto initially, but eventually I got a 31 with the drop point. And even though I do love the look of the drop point, just the difference in the grind led me to always be a bit paranoid when I was using the 31, and not so when I was using the 21. And it's just because you have that blade thickness that goes all the way to the tip, so you're not so worried about snapping the tip, right? And what I realized as well is that you get this like secondary point down here, which is actually great. It means you're not like, if you're trying to open a box or something, you're not like tip down all the time. You can actually use this secondary tip to have a nice little cutting point, which I find super functional on this one, right? Alrighty, so yeah, that's like a lot of words, not necessarily in any kind of an organized format, but yeah, just like the ramblings of somebody who's excited to share something with you guys. It's small. You can see in my hand here, it's like smaller than a Bic lighter. It's like, the size of a pack of juicy fruit gum or something like that. It's very small. It'll like pretty much fit in a coin pocket, and yeah, it's so it's 8 centimeters in length, 2 centimeters in width. Opens up to around like 13.5 centimeters from the base to the tip. And the interesting little story. I know it's different for those of you in other countries. Canada doesn't have loose knife laws at all. Like the laws in Canada are pretty strict. But I actually I was dropping a kid off at the airport and went through security with them, and accidentally had the knife in my pocket. And I was going through security, and the guy pulled it out, checked it, measured the blade, and he's like, "Yeah, it's okay." I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, it's no problem." So for those of you flying in Canada, I don't know, your mileage may vary. I don't know exactly what the laws are, but apparently the days of people taking away our fingernail clippers are over. And yeah, so if you're in Canada, I don't know, do your own research. Don't take my word for it, but that was my experience. I actually pulled the thing out a second time on my way back out and double checked with them, and they measured it again. It was somebody else. They measured it again, and they're like, "Yeah, you're good." So there you have it. But yeah, I really like how kind of just clean and classy this is. It's super not an aggressive format. It's there was a while where I was really into the idea of the gentleman's folder, a knife that just could be in your pocket and not all tactical woo, and just something that's kind of classy that you use for your daily stuff. But I'm yet to see a gentleman's folder that has a nice one-handed opening. They tend to be slip joints like these guys. So these are beautiful knives. I love them, but for me, once you have a good, reliable knife with one hand deployment, it's like it's hard to go back because you're used to being able to like hold something and still open your knife, right? So yeah, there you have it. One thing about these guys, in terms of our inventory, we received our full inventory of the knives. They all shipped. We actually separated the shipment and shipped in 2 different ways because we were concerned about the import regulations and stuff. But they all arrived fine. What we didn't do is we expressed only like 40 or so boxes. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, like, I know some of you guys, like, we get lots of compliments on our packaging, but a lot of people just like end up recycling the packaging anyways. So if you don't want a box, we're going to knock $5 off of the price and give you the option to buy the knife with no box, and we'll just put it in a cloth bag or something, so that you've got like something for it. But yeah, that'll allow us to offer up the whole inventory without making this restricted and like selling out and everybody being frustrated. I should mention, I'm not much of a clip guy. Those of you who've been in the community for a while, you know that I don't use clips on my pens very often, and knives, I almost always remove the clips. But I know that some people, like, that's a deal breaker. So we decided that we would do a clip option for these guys. So we're going to sell them with the option of clip or no clip. And this is a deep carry pocket clip and custom designed again for the knife. And you can see it, like, it just sits really, really nicely in there. You can pull it out. Okay. So, and it's like, the clip feels good. It doesn't, it's it doesn't interfere with anything. You can see where it rests, like, on the frame rather than on the lock bar, so it doesn't like make this grind when you open it or anything. It's well designed. Most of the knives that I buy have clips, and so I'm experienced with them. One thing that frustrated me about this guy, I bought it hoping to remove the clip, and then it has this extra piece on the frame, so when you take the clip off, you end up with this like chunk of metal, which, again, like that was a deal breaker for me on that knife. Anyways, enough of my woes with my own collection. My collection has reached its maximum point, I guess, because this is it for me, I think. At least until I get the itch in me to design something else. I'm already thinking about a drop point. But anyways, moving from that onto something that's exactly the same size but without quite the same functionality, our nowhere plank. So the plank came about from me just like after I had samples of this knife. I found myself just like, as I do, like flipping it around between my fingers all the time and realizing like that actually might be something fun just to have, a piece of metal or a piece of wood that's not got any functionality in it. That's just like something that you can flip around, kind of like a knuckle bone, but not a knuckle bone. So I made a crude one of these out of wood for myself, and then I liked it enough that I decided, well, why not? Let's get some samples made, and here we have it. So again, apparently it's lunchtime. Anyways, so yeah, this is the Nowhere plank, grade 5 titanium. We are already working on different materials for this. This is not a hardcore skill toy, and I love that people are recommending like different versions of this already after having seen it. People wanting a divot, people wanting it to be like machined out, and all sorts of different things. I appreciate the engagement and like people sending recommendations and stuff. Pretty much every recommendation that I've received would move this piece closer to something like this. This is an evolved form for something that you're rolling between your fingers. This is something different. So if you're interested in it and you like kind of the look and idea of what I'm doing right now, just like flipping it around casually, this is not a do a million tricks skill toy. This is just like just like a nice chunk of metal to keep in your hand or on your desk. And if you're not feeling it, then please don't buy it. Like it doesn't bug me whatsoever. We did a small batch of them. It's not like we didn't make a million, but I like it enough that I'm already planning to do it in other materials. And yeah, like sometimes it's sometimes it's nice to have like a set of Bugleri or a skill toy like the Debulo that you can like really get into a super flow with, where you can do a million tricks and really kind of like let your mind go, get into the flow state, and really just kind of let your creativity blossom, right? But we don't always need that, right? There are other times when you're just like sitting around and you want just like something to do a little bit of something with. You don't necessarily want to be like grinding out a combo, and you just want something to flip around casually, to keep your hands busy, or to provide like a little bit of extra, I don't know, a little bit of extra stimulation or something just to hold in your hand. There's like a comfort in that, and especially with the weight of a chunk of metal. So that's really what this is. I haven't, but yeah, you can't do a million tricks with it. And I guess that's kind of the point of something like this. You guys might surprise me. Like I said, similar stuff about the banjas when I first launched the banja, that it wasn't a skill toy, that it's like limited for tricks. And like sure enough, a couple years later, there are a million tricks and people are doing crazy stuff with it. So maybe that'll happen with this, but I doubt it. Like it's not designed to be easy to roll between the fingers or anything like that. It honestly, it slips between the fingers a lot, and when it lands, it's kind of loud, right? So yeah, like I said, if you're not feeling it, then we've probably got other stuff that you'll feel better with. But for those of you who like the idea of it, like yeah, go for it. It's a nice little chunk of metal, and yeah, it'll weigh down the papers on your desk, hold them in place for you. So, guys, I think that's it for this month. I've talked a lot. But yeah, I'm excited. There's like so much rad stuff, and I've got other rad stuff coming out next month. I think I'm going to leave it there. No teasers this month. I want to mention this tea that I've been drinking. It's Kuding tea. Super bitter, but I really like it. Anyways, okay. Product launch is going live Friday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, or at 6 p.m. Pacific time if you have the password that's going to be in your launch email coming out probably tomorrow. I don't think I'll get it done today. But, yeah. All right, guys. Thanks a lot.